Saturday, I was following the news of the shooting in Norway and the explosion in Norway, which happened, on Friday?
Yeah, the explosion was, and then we left the air, and then he went to, the camp.
Yeah, well, when we heard the explosion, everybody was willing to say, it's Muslim extremists! It's Muslim extremists! I don't think we made a comment on it because we didn't know, other than there was a bombing that happened. And as the thing started to unfold, and then there was a shooting at a political camp, which sounds a little like, the Hitler Youth or whatever. I mean, who does a camp for kids that's all about politics? Disturbing. But anyway, so there's this political camp, and some crazy man goes and starts shooting kids. I get up Saturday morning, and I write to Scott Baker at The Blaze, and I said, I haven't seen this yet anywhere, and I can tell you exactly what's going on. Somebody just needs to follow the story. And what is going on is exactly what I said would happen. I warned that this would happen last fall. Can we find and see if we can find the audio of me saying it? It's actually a kind of a famous monologue because I made it's a very complex theory, and you make one error in it, and it sounds like you are blaming it or agreeing with or whatever. And it's the monologue where I spoke about Geert Wilders. I think I only spoke about Geert Wilders on Fox one time. I think I had Geert Wilders on the CNN headline news show, right?
Yeah, I feel like a couple times you had him on that show, yeah.
Geert Wilders, and I think I've had him on this program before. Geert Wilders is the politician out of...
Denmark, I think.
And he's a guy who is very outspoken on Islam, and he's warning Europe. We're in trouble. We are in deep, deep trouble. And they've tried to make him into a terrorist and a hate monger and everything else. But when he came out with this film of his, I remember it was like 20 minutes. It was less strong than what we showed on CNN headline news. It's just clips of all of the things that they're saying. I think he went as far to say that Islam is evil, which I don't believe that Islam is evil. I believe Islam, the way it is being practiced by Ahmadinejad and millions of people around the world that believe in the same things that Ahmadinejad believes in, that's evil. Absolutely 100% that's evil. But there are a lot of good Muslims as well. They need to be strengthened. And the way to strengthen them is to say, this kind of understanding of Islam is evil. Period. And strengthen the ones who say, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to kill our daughters in honor killings. We don't want to stone people to death. We don't want our husbands to have, hourly marriage? We like to call it prostitution here in the United States. That Sharia law, it does not have a place in today's world, period. I warned that what was coming in Europe, and I will detail this in great detail on week number 1 of GBTV. I'm going to show you what the world's going to look like. But last fall, I said Europe is going to go into financial trouble, and it's also going to go into problems with radical Islam because the cities are being overrun. And the cities are also, many of them are being, for instance, in France, they are being the Islamic towns, or whatever you call them, sections, are getting in to the middle management of all of France, and this is happening all over Europe. And what's happening is they're like on the city councils and the Board of Education and everything else. They're the ones that are pushing all the papers and making all the rules. It's kind of a Cass Sunstein thing. And they are squeezing the neck of Europe. And that's what Geert Wilders has been saying, that political correctness and multiculturalism is killing Europe. And he's right. And if you look at multiculturalism and you're still for it, well, you better look whose company you're in, because Angela Merkel, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, I think Spain, France, all of them have come out and said, boy, this was a mistake. Multiculturalism does not work, and it's killing us. So in this monologue, I warned that what was coming to Europe is you would see the right wing, and this is one of the episodes where I showed the railroad tracks that are different than America. In America, the left railroad track is gigantic government. It can be communist or fascist. It doesn't matter, but it's giant government. The other side of the track is anarchy or, very, very, very small government. So that's the left and right here in America. The left and right in Europe, because once they got rid of the kings, they didn't replace it with we the people. They had to replace it with another strong government. And that's where fascism and communism came from. That's your left and right. Fascism on the right, Nazis, and communist on the left. And there are variations of both of those theories, but it's fascism and communism, left and right. This guy who's the shooter is from the right wing. Different than our right wing. It is still big government. He is coming out and he is doing the work of a madman. He's doing the work of what all people that want big government always do, and that is commit terrorist acts. They want to destroy a government so they can put another one in that they like. However, I want to make this very, very clear. This is the act of a madman. This is the act of somebody who needs to be in prison for the rest of their life. This is not anything that anyone should ever engage in. There is no difference between him and the 9/11 bombers. Nothing. No difference. He is just as bad as Osama bin Laden. Period. With that being said, let me explain what is happening in Europe. What's happening in Europe is Geert Wilders has been telling the truth. There's trouble. There is trouble with Islam. There is trouble. We are being set up, and our way of life, the Western way of life, is over. If we don't pay attention, the left, remember this is the communist socialist left, has gotten into bed through political correctness and the ideas of social justice with Islam. Islam has been feeding some of the worst elements from Pakistan, et cetera, into these communities, into Europe. Now remember, it is in the Netherlands that, what's his name, was Van Gogh was stabbed in the chest and said, West and America, you're over. We will do this to you. The left has gotten into bed with Islamic radicals through the social justice network. Let's provide social justice. Let's be good to everyone. And they have given the Islamic extremists an awful lot of power. And now you are seeing the pushback. The regular person is in the middle. They're not fascists. And they're not communists. They're just in the middle. They just like everybody else, whether you're Jewish, Palestinian, American, it doesn't matter. Most people just want to be left alone and raise their family and do their job. That's what they want. Let me just do a job, go to the grocery store, play with my kids, have a decent education and a decent future. Leave me alone. So they're not communist and they're not fascists. They're just normal. When things are out of control, people, the general population, sits down and they're just like, okay, can somebody fix this, please? You politicians fix this. And they see what's happening. It's the same thing that's happening in this country. You know what's going on. You know there's problems with the borders. You know there's problems with extremist Islam. And I don't mean just in the Middle East. I mean here. You know that extremist Islam has infiltrated charities and are masquerading as charities, and they are causing real problems and real damage in our country. You know it and I know it. The problem is, when something bad happens, will we rise up and say to the government, you knew about it. You were part of this problem. You helped bring it on. We will in time if we don't stop it. Europe is approaching that time. The average person doesn't listen to a Nazi. They don't listen to a hardcore communist. Only when the system is ready to collapse will they listen, and then they will run into the arms of madmen. This is why Cloward and Piven, their strategy is to collapse the system, put everybody dependent on the government, and then collapse it. Because they know people just want normalcy. They want stability. That's what they need. That's what they want. So if you can cause a disruption, instability, they'll run to the arms of a madman. The people of Europe see what's coming to their country. They know their way of life, the Western way of life, is over unless people stop playing games. Madmen are now starting to rise up and saying, yeah, and they're killing us, and they're traitors, and so they've got to be stopped right now. And that's who this guy is. He's Timothy McVeigh. He's Osama bin Laden. He's all of them. He's all of them. The danger comes from the average person now having to pick sides. Because, as I've said to you before, we're passing all of the exits. You've got to get off an exit. You've got to turn the car around. We're losing exits. Well, what is that cliff at the end? When I say that we're running out of freeway, and there's no more freeway. It doesn't mean we go on a dirt road, gang. It means we drive off the cliff. What is that cliff? That cliff is at the end. You either destroy everything and then it's chaos, or somebody who's been sitting in the car who is totally extreme, wants to take you someplace else and been saying, we're not going there, we're going someplace else. And everybody in the car has been saying, no, shut up, I don't want to go there. Shut up. But as we start to approach that cliff, that's the guy that will shoot the driver in the head and say, damn you all, I told you, and he'll take the wheel and he'll take you to hell. That's what's happening. And the people in the car will be faced with the choice, cliff or hell. And they know, because they'll see it, I can't go over the cliff, that's really bad. But they'll hope that something better is coming. They hope that, well, we'll go this direction and something will stop it. Something else will be better. It's what's happened in Germany. It's what's happened time and time again in every country that goes bad. Every time.
So to summarize here, you're saying that while there is a problem with Islamic extremism and there's a problem with a lack of melting pot in Europe, has been acknowledged by almost all of their leaders.
The melting pot, the competing argument of the melting pot is multiculturalism, and it's killing the entire world. It's killing man's freedom.
Yeah, our entry into that debate is the melting pot, which people come together, where this is
nobody does that except us,
pockets.
And we're no longer doing it.
Right. But while there is a problem with multiculturalism, Islamic extremism in Europe has been acknowledged by almost all of their leaders, obviously that does not make it so this guy's any better than Osama bin Laden. No. It doesn't make it that he is just as bad as any horrible terrorist that we've seen. I mean,
how many people did he kill?
90-something?
90.
They said that there's more dead here than there was in the London bombings.
Yeah, this guy is a monster.
I mean,
this guy's a monster.
Absolute monster. And you have to, I think what, if I'm understanding, you're warning against is making sure that people know that.
Monsters are coming. Monsters are coming. Nazis are coming. Communists are coming. Islamic extremists that want a caliphate are coming. If the American people and the rest of the normal world doesn't stand up now and get this car off and get to an exit, monsters are in our future and they will take control. It happens every time. I'm trying to remember the name of this book that I'm reading right now. I'm reading by Eric Lawson. Can you look that up? It's something on the Garden of the Beasts, I think the name of it is. And it is...
in the Garden of Beasts?
In the Garden of Beasts.
Terror and an American... Yes, Rise of Nazi Germany.
It's unbelievable. I think it's a New York Times bestseller now. It's unbelievable. It shows how the German people wanted to believe. And they're saying that even Hitler Even Hitler at one point said, the people are turning on themselves, and they're just bad people. That we are looking at a society that has grown very dark. And he just capitalized on it. And the people were eager to help him do it. Eager. And those who didn't want to help him do it, they just thought it would get better. I'll just get better. It won't get that bad. Europe is about to go into darkness again. America must turn on the light. You must turn it on in your own life. And we'll be giving you ways to do that. First step is 824 Israel. Please reach out to your house of faith, your house of worship. Reach out to a synagogue. This isn't being just pro-Israel. This is being pro-Jewish as well. And pro-human. Human. We don't do this to anybody. It's imperative that you turn on the light and crank it up. Light conquers darkness. Love conquers hate. Nothing else.
Glenn Beck.
I want to spend a little bit of time, right-wing or Nazi. That is the choice, and how this is going to be spun, what happened in Norway, how this is being spun and how it will be spun. If this monster isn't just labeled a monster and his real views exposed. For instance, did you know that his mom sent him to a prostitute? So, help him be a man. Well, that's, you know what? That sounds like the Christian hard right, doesn't it? Seriously, it sounds like the Christian hard right, which they're going to try to paint him as. We'll give you more on this coming up in just a second.
Glenn Beck.
We were just talking in the break about how devastating this news in Oslo is. 93 dead. Mainly children. Now, one thing that you have to take into account is in Norway, at least on this island, no one had a firearm. No one. This guy walked onto this island with a firearm. No one else had one. No one could stop him. No one had one. Remember what I said a couple of weeks ago? The police cannot prevent a crime. They can only come in and investigate what happened. Occasionally, if they happen to be there, yes. That's why in Newark, New Jersey, they're saying if you own a pizza shop and you want to be open after 9 o'clock, you have to hire a policeman, an armed guard, to be able to have your business open, because that way somebody can protect you. Excuse me? I have a right to protect myself. Nobody had a firearm. Nobody could stop this madman. 93 people later, he stopped. Takes the police. How long did it take him? 90 minutes?
Yeah, 90 minutes to respond.
90 minutes this was going on. These kids were swimming across the lake trying to get help. Neighbors were coming and getting in their boats and going and rowing across the water to be able to grab these kids out. This guy was an absolute and total monster. A monster. As much as maybe it's just me. I would never send my kids to a Republican summer camp. Never in a million years would I send my kids to a Republican Party summer camp. What are you, nuts? That's what this thing was. A Labor Party summer camp. I don't know why you would send your kids to that. I see that, my problem with, the Nazi youth is that was a party. The Nazis were the National Socialist Party. Is Europe not going to learn? Stop with the parties. Stop indoctrinating your kids with the parties. But as much as I don't want to send my kids to a Labor Party or a Republican Party or an Obama summer camp, whatever it is, I'm not going to send my kids there. But can you imagine the monster that it takes to say, the best way to stop this is to kill all the children? Monster. Man. Total and complete monster. So don't listen to anyone who says that, first of all, left and right in Europe is different. Remember that. They had kings. What changed in America is we got off the king track. We said, no, there's not a ruler over man. Man is the king. And so left and right was bigger government was the left. No government was the extreme on the right. So fascist, communist is the extreme left, and no government is the extreme right in America. The progressives have tried to confuse us and take you out of control and take you out of, no government. That's ridiculous. No government, limited government, please. And try to bring us back onto that European model of fascist and communist being left and right. They're still there. This guy, if he's a hard right guy, it doesn't mean the same as it does here. And don't let anybody try to fool you on that.
No, and of course the left is going to attempt to pin this on the Tea Parties or so which of course is expected. But I mean I don't remember the last time I was at a Tea Party and I heard them talking about Freemasonry. It's not the typical focus, or how much the Tea Parties just absolutely love isolationism. And, this guy was arguing very much for isolationism, against free trade,
right.
Which is obviously, you're talking about libertarians. You're talking about the free trade and capitalism. And he was, in his manifesto video, talking about the evils of global capitalism. It's the sort of thing that, while he did say a lot of stuff about, terrorists that you might expect to hear from someone in the American right wing, there's extraordinary amounts of difference as well, and of course that will be lost on the media.
Of course it will be.
Intentionally, not like it's not happening intentionally.
I've read someplace that he was a religious zealot.
Oh yeah, he said in his own writings in the manifesto that I do not consider myself a religious person or something like that. It's not an exact quote, but it's pretty close.
No, he's a religious zealot.
No, he said himself, his
not just
words.
Religious, but Christian.
No,
yeah,
he said in his words,
right-wing Christian.
I do not consider myself a particularly religious person.
No, but he was.
Yeah, he's a Christian. He's a Christian zealot.
I read it over the weekend.
I read it too. That he's a Christian, a white, right-wing Christian zealot.
Yeah,
that's not what he says he is. Now I don't necessarily
but what
trust
does he
him.
know about what he is?
Well,
seriously, what does he know?
I don't find him to be a trustworthy individual. But I will say that he wrote. He advertised this incident, this awful mass murder terrorist attack, as his marketing plan for this manifesto. That's what he says. It was his marketing plan for this manifesto. And of course, unfortunately, as we know, this works. When you go out and you do this, people do look at your crazy rantings and berate them and use them for their own political points, unfortunately. But the point here is that that's not what this is about. We've said this over and over again when left-wing people have done horrible things like this. We've said it over and over again. You can't blame, Harry Reid because someone who has a similar viewpoint in one particular area decides to go kill somebody. And it's just got nothing to do with it. It has to do with that person and their maniacal loss of perspective on life.
Mm.
He has. He also plagiarized the
Ted
Unabomber.
Kaczynski.
Yeah,
if you're going to plagiarize somebody, what better person than the Unabomber to just really get some good ideas from? And when you're going to write a screed or a manifesto, I think immediately you think Ted Kaczynski.
How much do I copy from Ted Kaczynski?
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much. Whether the whole thing or just about half.
The great thing too is he went in there and he just like Control F and searched for the word like leftist and then just replaced it with Muslims. Like he just went in there and just.
Did he really?
Yeah, he just replaced
multiculturalism and Muslims.
Yeah, he just replaced multiculturalism over like political correctness or something. Like he just filled in words. And of course, the Unabombers is the same thing. They tried to blame that on right wing, and you look at it, and it's very environmentalist. It's bizarre. You can't assign these normal values to these abnormal people.
No,
you just can't do it.
He wanted a change in society, and from his perspective, he needed to force it through a revolution. He wished to attack society and the structure of society. I don't have anything in common with that. You? I don't want a revolution.
Nope.
I don't want to attack the structure of society.
Nope.
His mother, I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find out where it is. But I can't find where his mother, who was a liberal, sent him to a sent him to prostitutes to help him become a man.
I feel like I saw that story maybe on the Blaze or something. Could be wrong on that, but I did see a headline on that. Didn't get to the story. But it's typical.
He said, "We, the free indigenous peoples of Europe, hereby declare a preemptive war on all cultural, Marxist, multiculturalist elites of Western Europe. We know who you are, where you live, and we are coming for you. We are in the process of flagging every single multiculturalist traitor in Western Europe. You will be punished for your treasonous acts against Europe and Europeans." In the manifesto, he says in 2002 in London, a group of what he calls the New Knights Templar were formed. The New Knights Templar. So what he's calling for are literal crusades. That, I guess, is where you get the Christian element. But if you're calling for crusades, may I ask how you're also pro-Israel?
Yeah, he's not really pro-Israel.
No.
He's anti-Islam.
He's anti-Muslim.
He's anti-Muslim. He's anti-Islam. And,
and there's a huge difference. Pro-Israel and anti-Muslim, there is a huge, huge difference there. If you're pro-Israel and pro-Jewish, there's also a very big difference there. And that is something that we need to find. You need to be able to answer this question. Are you pro-Israel? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, good. Are you pro-Jewish? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, you go to the next one. Are you pro-human? Yes or no? If you can answer all three of those things, yes, you're on the right side. If you answer those things no, you might want to reevaluate. But you have to answer all three. I'm pro-Israel, I am pro-Jewish, and I am pro-human, which means if the Jewish people in Israel were practicing genocide, which they're not, I then lose my support for Israel and the Jewish people because they're practicing genocide, and I'm pro-human first. If somebody is Islam is saying, hey, I just want to coexist and I just want to live next door as peaceful neighbors, I'm cool with that because I'm pro-human. Somebody starts to erase somebody, I'm against them. Somebody starts to a campaign to end somebody's way of life, I'm against them. I am pro-Israel, I am pro-Jewish, and I am pro-human. Make sure that you understand that, because there's going to be a lot of people that come out and say, I'm pro-Israel, or I'm anti-Israel, but I'm pro-Jewish. Mm-hmm. And why are you pro-Jewish again? Why are you pro-Israel again? What is your... Why are you anti-Israel? Where's the depth on that one? Where does it go? I guarantee you, many people, pro and con, it really will come down to anti-Semitism one way or another. You have to be prepared and know what you believe. Because the old hatreds, as I told you last fall in a monologue where I warned against this very thing and said it was coming to Europe, and specifically the Netherlands. Look out, it's coming. This is going to spread. And you must be pro-human, along with pro-Jewish and pro-Israel, because it's coming under attack. Pro-Israel is not the same as anti-Muslim.
Glenn Beck.